everybody. I want to share something with you that I think is really important, and I wish that someone had helped me with this a long time ago. It would have saved me a lot of upset, probably tummy upset to be anything, and I feel like no one sort of gave it to me straight. Even the medical professionals didn't give it to me straight. So what I want to do for you is just share a little bit of what I've learnt the hard way so that you don't have to. So if you just hang with me for a minute, I'll share the screen and we'll get on with it. It's called reasonable adjustment. And I think that, like everything in life, I think if we just make these little reasonable adjustments along the way, we will find ourselves in a better position in time. And I think quite often we think, you want to lose weight, or you want to get fit, or you want to do this or do that, and you're kind of waiting for this big opportunity to come your way. And I don't think it works like that. I think it's we forget the power of small, and that's what I want to teach you in this, in particular when it comes to our food choices. So if you can just bear with me for a minute, I will share the screen. Hang on. So you're back with me. So this is what I put together for somebody else some time ago, and I thought it would be really good if I made a copy of it here for you, for the Salon mental people. So reasonable adjustment is what I think needs to happen with everything that we do, whether it's looking after ourselves, getting more sleep, whether it's drinking more water, walking, exercising, using our voice, being brave and saying what we really want to say. I think that if we think about what we'd like to do and what we are doing now, enough reasonable adjustment, little tiny steps in the right direction is going to be what will get us there. So let's get on with the presentation. So first, I'd like you to think about the things that you want more of in your life. So who here would like to be more wealthy or more at peace with themselves, or more able to make good food choices? And who here would like to be less stressed, less reactive when somebody says something to you and you fly off the handle? Or just take a minute and think about what you would like to have more of in your life and what you would like to have less. And sometimes they're really different, and sometimes they're similar. So, for example, I'd like to have more consistency in my life. I'd like to be less up and down, as in my moods. I feel like I still struggle to regulate my moods. And what I've found is that there's a lot of things that can help me with that, and regulating my emotional state, when I look back across my life, has always been a challenge for me. So I would like to have less low days, perhaps, and less ups and downs. So they're pretty much the same thing, aren't they? More consistency and less up and down. Maybe you'd like to have more knowledge on how to speak your truth. Maybe you'd like to have more of an understanding around what foods would help you, and you would like to make less bad food choices. And some people say there aren't any bad food choices. Oh, I disagree. I think there's bad food choices, right? Maybe you'd like to have less bloating. Maybe you'd like to have less, I don't know, what would be the words? Less interrupted sleep. Maybe you'd like more sleep. So have a think about, because if you don't know what you'd like more of or what you'd like less from, you're kind of just sort of working your way around in the dark. And I think that you can stumble onto the answer and you can stumble onto success. But from my experience is, if you have a really clear understanding of where you're going, then it's much easier to get there. And then really it's just about, is this good for me? Does this get me closer to where I want to go, or does this get me further away? So that's what I want to share with you today. All right, so let's get started. The difference between healthy and unhealthy is really small. It's really small. And I think we make it a big, complex thing But it's actually not that, it's not that different. And I think that you just need to make these little choices along the way and start small, like really start small. So healthy and unhealthy, let's have a look at an example of that. So if you were to drink water, that's healthy. If you were to drink Diet Coke instead of water, and perhaps you never drink any water, and I'm fascinated that I do come across people who go, oh, I never drink water. They drink cups of tea, they drink cups of coffee, and they drink Diet Coke, and they drink all sorts of things. But you actually aren't drinking water. That's just flavored water. So don't kid yourself. You are not that far away from being healthy. So maybe for you, if you had, and I have a brother who his whole life has drank cola. I don't know if he drank Diet Coke or the one with the sugar in it. I don't know. We didn't really have a Barney, but we just don't have anything in common and we think really differently. So it's been my choice not to continue to connect with him because I felt like it was very one-sided. So that's the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy relationship. So I don't know, but what I do know, and I hear from my family, is that he has Parkinson's disease. And it's so sad, and I feel for him. But I think when you do as much research as I've done on where do these things come from, I'm certain that he would struggle with ADHD, as do I, but I'm fairly certain that he wouldn't have gone down the path of finding the answers. I don't know, but it's a guess. And I think knowing his personality, he hasn't really ever wondered if there's an alternative to medications. And I think that could be said for a lot of people. What I want for you is to understand that when you are healthy or unhealthy, it's really up to you, because when you think about the amount of time that a doctor can spend with you, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and there really isn't enough time to educate you. So I think that there has to be an ownership of you understanding your health, and there is any amount of YouTubes and wonderful information out there. Now, for some people, and I've had some negative feedback when I've shared things with people, they go, oh, that's a rabbit hole you'll go down, researching what's good for you and what's bad for you. And I think, yeah, but not going down the rabbit hole just didn't sit right for me. I just wanted to know more. So from what I can tell, there's a lot of things in our food that just don't help us. And if you are a person who doesn't have any neurodiversity, as in ADHD or any of those things, good for you. And this probably isn't going to resonate with you the same as it's going to resonate with someone who's got bloating issues or, has trouble going to the toilet on a regular basis and all those things. And from my experience, hairdressers and beauty therapists are world champions, absolute world champions at putting their self last. And it's my mission to help you to understand that that doesn't really help anybody, okay? You're just postponing the inevitable. And I want you to think about being healthy as opposed to unhealthy, okay? And it's just little tweaks in the right direction. So in order for me to do that, I want your permission for me to be honest, because I think my frustration is that I have been on the receiving end of doctors who just go, oh, well, you could try that. They go, bye. And I think I wanted someone to say to me, don't do that, Lisa. It's really bad for you. And, your personality type or your neurodiversity or, the things that I was struggling with, it was almost like, well, off you go, bye now. And I think it wasn't enough information. I almost want someone to grab me by the scruff of the neck and go, listen, woman, listen to me. And I think my friend calls that a freight train moment. He said, sometimes you're so busy doing what you're doing and you're getting on with whatever you're doing. And to get in front of you to say, actually, no, I'm not happy, or this isn't working for me, we almost have to go like this, stop. It's a freight train moment. So I want to be really clear with you and then just make it easy. I'm just going to tell it how it is. And then if you choose to continue to do what you do, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem. But I'm hoping that after watching this, you'll go, right, okay, maybe she's got something to say here. And that just fills my heart with joy. If I could help somebody get out of a shitty position, literally, then my work here is done. So this is a friend of mine, Jay, and he's been a Zen coach for me. I helped him, met him in his business many, many years ago. And what I love about Jay is he's really like me in the way that he gets really passionate about some things and gets really single-minded about things. And so do I. And we often tease each other about the journey we're on. Now, at this photo, it was taken at my daughter's wedding, and he came as a guest of mine. I didn't ask my family. I asked a couple, but I didn't ask them all. I asked my friends because to me, he's like family, right? So I sent this to him and I said, caption this. And we laughed about what we both said. And so here I am eating, and he's saying to me, oh, God, I know, this is Lisa, I know I ordered the gluten-free vegan option, but they put this in front of me, and I thought, you can tell it's spelt wrong because we're just laughing. And, I hope this, I don't know what he's called me, doesn't start talking about her gut microbiome, because that's me and I'm guilty of that. Because what I've found has really changed the way I think about food. And I'm saying to him, this is what I've said. I said, oh, it's your tummy, Bubba. Like, he often tells me his poo stories and things that have gone terribly bad for him. And he thinks it's funny. And I think for a smart person, you are such a dumb beep. So it's just been an ongoing conversation between him and I. But I think he doesn't want to learn from me like I'm his mother. He doesn't want to learn from me. So I had to let that go. And I think there'll be probably people in your life, and it might be your mum or your sister or someone who really doesn't want to learn from you. Let them go. But and now I think people come to you when they're ready, and you probably had clients along the way who, you would love to color their hair, or you'd love to do something different, and they just don't listen. They're just deaf. And then one day they're with another team member, and you turn around and you think, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this. You think, I suggested that and she's ignored me. And I think, yeah, exactly. That's what people do. We are ready to listen when we're ready to listen, and not one day before. So just be mindful of that. So when I think at the importance of taking the steps to being healthier, some people like to take just these little small steps, right? And they just make little improvements along the way. Now, the trouble with that is you don't see any real gain, right? And so you can feel like, oh, this is a waste of time. Nothing's changed. And I think we could say that about growing our businesses and doing all the things that we do. You think, oh, some days you just think, I'm no better off. And I think, well, hang on a minute, let's have a look back. You are better off. So that negative Nancy mindset is not helping you, love. So just be mindful. Now, people have different ways of accepting and changing what they do. And I'm a little bit of a big step person, right? I'm just a bit like my friend Jay. I'm ignore. Then the problem gets so big, I think, right, take this on. So for me, I think I started to look at my health and a lot of things that I was doing at the age of 53. So that's nearly 6 years on now. And I was taking all these little small steps towards being healthy, but I felt like, was I really getting anywhere? It was never fast enough for me, but life's never fast enough for me. Let's be honest. I'm a very impatient person, but I'm very persistent. And I think that those qualities are really different. So you have to know the type of person you are. And I think quite often as a hairdresser or a beauty therapist, we kind of do the work and we get thanked today. I love my skin. It's so good. I love my lashes. I'm so happy with and you get rewarded straight away. And I had to get used to, as a business mentor, that I don't get rewarded straight away. Sometimes I do, but sometimes the thank you or the praise is a bit slow because the progress is a bit slow. So we're kind of undoing and relearning, and then the progress, and one day you just go, oh, that's good. That's interesting. So it's a bit slower. And I think your progress to change will be depending on whether you take lots of little steps or whether you go, nah, that's it. Right. So I'll just walk you through a couple of examples. Why is that not working? So I think the thing that we need to address, and I think is the elephant in everybody's pantry, is the things that we bring home that we find are easy to do. So if these were in my pantry, I would I would be so easily, I could just eat these and I'd go really well all day. But what I found is at nighttime when I'm tired, that's when I make poor decisions. I'm not sure if that's the same for you, but when I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I think, oh, what have you got in the cupboard? So when you look at this, and what I'm going to show you now is some ways that you can swap out some of the things that you've got, right? So the number one ingredient in this packet of biscuits is sugar. So they always put what's first. Then we've got wheat flour, raspberry flavouring, sugar, apple juice, glucose. So sugar, apple juice, glucose, all versions of sugar, raspberry juice, another version of sugar. Then we've got fruit fibre, food acids, 330, 331. Now, if you look up those numbers as preservatives, you'll go, oh, God, don't think we should be eating those. Exactly. Then there's Allura Red, caramel flavour, designated coconut, vegetable oil, emulsifier, soy lectin, antioxidant. Look up E307B and you'll go, shit, that's from soy. There's a lot in this package, let's be honest, right? There's a lot in there. So to eat that I don't think it's a very clever move, but what you could do is you could change it to eat this one. Now, this one, it still has wheat flour. So some people, a lot of people have trouble with flour. End of story. They just do, right? A lot of people have trouble with dairy and they have a lot of trouble with sugar. So this one's got all three. So, if you were to have these every day for your lunch, forever and a day, you'd get into trouble. But if they were a treat, I'd still prefer that you had this one compared to that one, mostly because of the numbers, right? So we know what wheat flour is, we know what butter is, we know what milk is, we know what sugar is, and we know what salt is. End of story. So all of those are whole ingredients. They're not chemical-based ingredients. So if you're going to have a treat and you want to buy a packet of something, have this one, right? Now, you might like the other one better, but you can adjust, right? So this is what I would call a reasonable adjustment. If it was me, I wouldn't bring either of them into the house because I know that my won't power is pretty ordinary, right? So I just wouldn't bring them in the house. And for years and years, I'd bring them in and I'd hide them and I'd bring them in and then I'd think I'm only going to have two and I didn't. It's just easier for me not. So you have to decide that for you. So then we look at things like yogurt. So skim milk, water is the second most used ingredient here. Milk solids, polydextrose, I don't even know what that is, thickeners, modified starch, locust bean, gum. Gum is really bad for our tummy. Natural flavors, sweeteners, blah, 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 blah. Someone said to me, if you can't recognize what is in a product, and if you don't have that in your pantry, like if you don't have potassium, acidity regulators and things sitting there, but when you cook, then don't bring it home. So this is a pretty standard, no added sugar, like it boasts no fat, 80 calories. French vanilla sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Yeah. So then you've got this one, which is whole milk, cream, live probiotics, which is really good for you. And this other Greek name, lactobacillus, blah, 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 right? They're all really good probiotics. So you're better off with this one. Okay. Now, this one's probably not going to taste as nice as the other one, but when you stop having the other one, your taste buds adjust and then you just cope with this one. So once you do the homework and you start turning the packets over and you go, okay, well, that's the one I get. That's it. Now, you might have to take a few photos of the one you want. And then when you send the kids to the shop or your partner or someone, that's the one we get, right? Just do the decision-making quickly. Now, look at this one. Really interesting. Lots of things in here. Soy lectin, again, that's really bad for your tummy. This one here, modified starch, this is a really bad one, 1412. And there are certain things that people who struggle with like mood regulating and ADHD or OCD or any of those things, any of these numbers will just set you off and you don't really know why. And it's really hard to know because you can have this today and feel the effects like days later. So it's really hard to track, and that's what I've learned. Once again, in here, there's a lot of gluten and things like that. And I think we can all tolerate them, but it's the amount that matters. So milk solids, cacao, mass emulsifiers, like they're not It's not food, people. It's just not food. And I think that when you are younger, like in your 20s and 30s and things, I think you can process these things better. And the older you get, the harder it is. So think about an old car, like an old car, and you might be a new car, but an old car, you got to warm it up a bit. You know, my car didn't even come with a cup holder, let's be honest. And I think some of the things that we do now is really not good for us, as in the overeating. Like we just consume. So if you start to measure from the time you put the first bit of food in your mouth to the end of the day when you put the last bit of food in your mouth, it's too long. We really need to be eating in a window of about 8 hours. Or one of the things that I've tried recently is eat and you must wait 5 hours, eat and wait 5 hours. Well, for a hairdresser and beauty therapist, that's not that hard because I think we actually invented fasting just quietly. So gaps between meals for your body to digest. So when you have something like this as a snack, we don't need a snack. So if you're going to eat something like that, I prefer you eat something like this, but you ate it at mealtime. So if you're going to have your, tuna and rice or chicken salad or whatever, you have it, you have this, you have your cup of coffee, and then you shut the window and you wait for 5 hours. Absolute game changer when someone told me that. So this one has date paste. So that's very high in sugar because dates are a really strong concentration of carbohydrates, sugar. That's okay. But cacao powder you'd find in your pantry, cashews you would, sunflower seed paste you probably wouldn't, but it's still, if it's a good quality one, it's just sunflower seeds mashed up. Like peanut butter is just peanuts mashed up if you get the right one. Dried cherries, that's fine. And natural flavour, that one worries me a little bit because I don't know what a natural flavour is. That's like a nothing to see over here statement as far as I'm concerned. Natural what flavour? Like more information, please. But as far as where we came from and that reasonable adjustment, this is a much better one, okay? Ice cream, love ice cream. I have this desire to have something as a treat at the end of the day. So I wouldn't have this one because of the maltodextrin. Vegetable oil is a really loose term for shit quality oil. Emulsifiers. Emulsifiers are things that keep things together so they don't separate. Guar, gum, blah, 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 actual flavor, pepper, and a couple of numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sets of numbers in there. Look up the numbers. You'll be fascinated when education is really important. And I think that once you learn things, you go, wow, that's really cool. Now I understand why I'm bloating. Now I understand why I'm farting. Now I understand because that's your body trying to get your attention. So when you look at this one, this has got fresh cream. So 40% almost is fresh cream. Condensed skim milk. It's not ideal, but it's still better than the other one. Sugar, water, egg, yolk, vanilla extract. You'd find all of those in your pantry. All right, so much better choice. I learnt from Dr. Amen. So if you say amen, like amen, as in a prayer, A-M-E-N, he's a psychiatrist out of America, which has just absolutely saved my life by educating me, by just watching his YouTubes and things. And he says, orange juice is a really bad thing to do to your body because you take away the fiber and all the goodness out of the orange and you just drink the liquid. So it's not a good idea. I'd prefer that you didn't drink orange juice. And it's funny, growing up, we didn't have any orange juice, or sometimes mum would buy cordial as a bit of a treat, but never lasted long. With 9 kids, we had milk from a cow, which we milked, and we had water. That's it, milk and water. So orange juice is often looked upon as healthy. It's not. If you were to have a glass of orange juice, you would have to have, I don't know, I think he said about 12 oranges in order to get the same amount as you do in a juice. So it's this really strong hit of sugar and it spikes your blood, and that's not good. You only got to listen to any medical professional when they say blood spiking is not good. It's a path to diabetes and obesity. And if you wonder why, you think, I don't know what I eat or drink, I just can't lose weight. And all of these numbers are keeping you captive. They're really keeping you hungry. It's like they just keep you wanting more. You know, they say like Pringles, once you pop, you just can't stop. Well, the numbers in Pringles are actually doing that to you. They really make it hard for you to stop. If you ate almonds or something whole, it is easier to stop than it is with any of those things. And the same with these preservatives, 202, acidity regulated 330. Look them up, because once you do and you get smart, you'll go, oh, that makes so much sense. So, yeah, chop up an orange and have an orange. It's much better for you. I think what the world lacks is fibre. We chase protein, we chase carbohydrates, we chase fat, but measuring what fibre you have is really important. So I would swap this orange juice out for an orange. End of story, right? That's just it. You can squeeze it if you want, but I think you need to leave the pith and stuff in it. I don't think the word's pith, the gritty stuff. And your children will probably say, I don't like that one, Mum. Well, that's just how it is. And I think if you really want the health of yourself and your children to not be sick down the road, you just got to make some tough decisions, and they get over it. It's fine. This one I found in my cupboard. My son, when he came to stay, and he's in his 30s, and he brought this, and I thought, I read the back of it and I thought, really? Like, it tastes like the cardboard for starters, but I think he's wanting more fibre in his diet because he needs to go to the bathroom and be regular. So he tends to eat Metamucil or this, and I think he goes, it keeps me regular. And that's what the ads say. It's very high in fibre. It's actually not as high in fibre as they boast, and it's a bit like a lot of foods boast low fat. It's not. You really need to learn to compare things. And you don't have to spend half a day in the supermarket. Once you learn things, you just learn. It's pretty simple. Anything that comes in a packet and doesn't ever go off, I'm a bit suspicious of, and I wonder if it's even food. That's my opinion. I eat for fibre. So this one is an apple, and I munch the apple up in my Thermomix. You could grate it. And then there's almonds and sunflower seeds, and I soak them overnight so they're softer, and apparently they're easier to digest. And then I've got like a Greek yogurt, and the powder on there is cinnamon. Cinnamon's very good for you, right? So it tastes good. And when you stop eating things that are like Pop-Tarts and stuff like that, then your taste buds adjust, and then you get really excited about food like this. So that's what I think is the closer you get to whole food. So if you think about an apple's a whole food, yogurt's a whole food, cinnamon's a whole food, so is a nut, so is a sunflower. So all of those are whole food. So whole food is first price. It's just first prize. And the way I feel now compared to how I did feel, night and day, absolutely night and day. And I actually don't think I would be here. If I was to continue down that path, I'm certain that how unwell I was mentally, I would have just taken my life. And that's not something I share lightly because I don't want to trigger or worry anybody. But I think there will come a time when I'll be honest about my struggles. And I think most people aren't interested, and neither should they be. They need to just look after yourself. But my cognitive decline was so bad that I was struggling to finish a sentence. I had to go back and read what the start of the sentence was to remind me what it was. And I was really frightened because I'm not 60 yet. And I just thought something's really bad. Something's really wrong here. And so I had to take big steps. And one of those steps was I just cleaned out the cupboard. I found someone who said, do this 14-day detox. And what I've since learned is I actually have a couple of gene mutations, which as a young machine, it wouldn't have affected me, but as an old machine, it does. So there's two, and you might want to look them up. You have to get tested. I think I did blood tests, I'm not sure, but one is COMT. And if you Google that, it's a gene that means that we struggle to process toxins. So like I showed you in all of those things, they are toxins, right? For a lot of people, they just process them and keep going. Bodies are like machines, mine's not. And then I get this build-up. And so having spent 40 years as an industry, soaking my hands in perm solution in the 80s, like we wound perms with our hands in perm solution. Like, it's a wonder I'm still here, like, let's be honest. I ate my colour every day. I ate my lunch every day while I mixed a colour, and the fumes I would have been inhaling. And, the products back then are not were harsh. We're certainly on our way. So I think I had just that toxic overload, and that was making me, my brain letting me down. And I just thought, well, what value am I to the world? And pretty sad. But I'm pleased to say that I'm not anymore, and I'm in a much better place. So finding resources are really important. So this girl called Geordie Pieface, she's a nutritionist. And if you go to her website, she's incredible before and after pictures. Like, she will say, swap this for this, swap this for this. And she does it with skincare and shampoo and all sorts of things. So I would go there and follow her. Just incredible information that she's put together. I think really helpful. And like I said, this might not be for you, but if we can stop our children going down that path, all the better. I think there's a lot of products. Like, this is an app that I found. It was $60, I think, for a year. No, I think it was a one-off purchase, $60, which I didn't care. I was looking for one that Dr. Amen says, and it was called Think Dirty. I don't know. I clicked on the wrong thing. Let's be honest. That's what I do. And I ended up with this one. So I don't know if his was the one that he recommended was less or not, but he tells a story about him putting Barbasol, which is a shaving cream, on his face. And I think he did it for 40 years. He's a bit older than me. He might be 10 years older than me, psychiatrist out of America, double certified psychiatrist, child psychiatrist. So super, super knowledgeable. It wasn't until about 20 years ago he started to scan people's brains. And what he realised was this, putting the Barbasol on his face every day to shave, the one that he used marks out of 10. So if it's a 9 out of 10, that's how likely or quickly it's got to kill you. And if it's a 2 out of 10, it's less likely to kill you, right? So less chemicals in the lower. This one works the other way. This one is out of 100. So if something's about 48 points, which I found a lot of products are 48, I think that one there says 48. And what I found is that there are some really good quality products that you can just replace. I put Nivea on my skin. Oh, I'd hate to think, the one that's this color blue, the Nivea, girls would sell me things in beauty salons. Not the same as my Nivea. I love the Nivea, and now I would never touch it because it fails. It's about I don't know, maybe it's a 40 out of 100. So the higher, the better. There's a product called Mugu, MOOGOO, made out of Queensland. It's just brilliant. And I love it because it feels really nice. And so Mugu make everything for you. And if you scan it, it's almost pure. It's almost 100. And the reason Mugu came around is because the guy's mum, he's a dairy farmer, and the guy's mum was using the cream that they put on the cow's udder. So the cow's udder is the cow's teats. And so to keep those soft and subtle, they were putting on this stuff. And it was really thick, and she had eczema or psoriasis. And so she was using this stuff. And she said, I like that goo you put on the cows, that moo goo I like. And that's how the name came about. So he developed something else, which was like a little bit more people-friendly or user-friendly. And that's how the company began. So it's a fabulous, fabulous success story. When you use products on animals and then you are going to milk a cow or something, you've got to be really careful because you don't want to get anything into and contaminate the milk. So that's how he had a lot of rules around what they could do with the food. And so he just continued with that and went down this path. So Mugu is really good. On skin, I would get that in a heartbeat. The only thing I will say is there's things in there that it doesn't register, and that's because they might be too small a company, like as in an Australian-made product. It's a global scanner as far as I know. Now, someone said to me, how do you know that that's accurate? And I thought, well, that's probably a good question. But I've been surprised at when I've been in, scanned products that I thought would be good because they boast so much natural and chemical-free, and that they're just not. It's fascinating. It's just not. So it is a neutral party. What I do like is they name the ingredients that are safe and they name the ingredients that they are not. And then it's up to you to choose, right? I just like they've done the work for me and I just scan it in. And some things I don't know. So things like even perfumes, it's better to put perfume on your clothing and not on your skin. I think we've probably all been burnt by a perfume before. I've certainly put perfume on my skin and gone out in the sun and thought, what's happened here? So just be really careful about what you use, and to change over all your cosmetics, huge job, especially if you have as many cosmetics as me. So just start somewhere, just start scanning and think about it. Geordie Pieface gives you examples of, like if you're using baby wipes, use these ones. If you're using sunscreen, use these ones. That's one that I'm struggling with at the moment because I've found a couple of sunscreens that are really good and they pass, but mate, they're greasy. And the one that I loved was not greasy, but it didn't pass. So, there's a bit of a balance there. I live in a climate that's really sunny, so I just have to wear sunscreen. So I just put my sunscreen on, and then I put a powder on it, and I just what would be the word, dull it down. So there is a solution. More than happy if anybody wants to inbox me and ask me a question about something, because this might not land with you, but there will be someone in your life that might need this lesson. So what I'd like to say to you, though, is that your body does whatever it can to get your attention. And just the other day, I was in a salon having my hair done, and I just came around the corner and the girl was putting on like a deep heat patch on her back. And I said, what are you doing? Because she just seemed like she was just putting a Band-Aid. She goes, no, it's like a deep heat. And the apprentice was just putting it on her, sticky taping it on so that it would soak into it. And I thought, oh, God, this poor woman, like, the salon's rocking, and she's just an amazing stylist and so knowledgeable. But I thought, at what cost, love? At what cost? So I'm pleased to say that I reached out to her and said, let's have a chat, because I would love to help her. And she came back and she goes, I'm so pleased you did. I just don't know what to do now. And I thought, yeah, and that's her body screaming out for attention. So for some of us, serial farter, I think about the amount of times I'd pretend and go up to the front of the salon just so I could fart away from my client, because my tummy was going, not happy, not happy. And I just thought, it doesn't matter what I do. I don't know how to stop my bloating. I don't know. And I spent my whole life sucking my tummy in. And I'm pleased to say that I don't have any bloating, anything. Although I must admit, the other day, Simon wasn't here, and I thought, oh, I'll spoil myself. And I had a chocolate brownie with ice cream, and I farted all the way home. Interesting. And I haven't had, I don't say I don't have sugar. I do. Like, I will make my own ice cream, which is frozen bananas. I've made a batch for when I get home tonight. Frozen bananas, a shot of coffee, and something else in there, coconut milk. Not a fart, because my body goes, okay, thank you. But if I buy bought ice cream, I do. And I don't believe it's because it's got dairy, although it could be, but I think it's the numbers. It's all of those things. So just know that your body does fight to get your attention. And if you ignore the little things like bad gas and the bloating, then you'll get cramping, or you'll get chronic diarrhea, and things will go bad, which brings me to my favourite stool chart. And it's not IKEA stools, it's people's stools. And when you listen to as many podcasts as I do, I love a good poo story. So when you do, and we all look at our poo, don't say you don't, you do, but when you look at the shapes and the sizes and the colours, there's a lot that tells us about that. So the healthy types are the 3s and the 4s. So I call a Bristol 4. That's what you want, a Bristol 4. Bristol 3 or 4. So this is an English term. It's been around forever. My daughter's actually a doctor, and I said to her about a Bristol 4, and she laughed. She goes, oh, that's so good, Mum, that you know about a Bristol 4. The first one's probably not enough water. And when I look back over my twins, I have twin boys, they're 32, and even as babies, one was doing these little hard rabbit poos when they were tiny little babies, and the other one wasn't, right? So one was doing probably a 3 and the other one was doing a 1. And I tried so many things, and the doctor, blah, 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 said this, try that, and I was mixing up prunes and all of these things. And then the health centre sister said, just put more water in his drink. Oh, that's all I did. I put it out like another 60 mils of water in Jacob's bottle compared to Aaron. Fixed it. So sometimes the answer is really simple. And if we are not drinking enough water, then we just can't process things like we are. So just be mindful of that. Another thing that I've learned to do recently is put some salt in my water, really good quality Balinese salt. Fascinating, because apparently water follows salt. So if I have and just a half a teaspoon, I don't have any trouble drinking salty water. A little shot of salty water I can't do, but if I just put a half a teaspoon in a big glass of water, I just drink it. It's not a problem for me. And you can also put it in another drink, like you could put it in your smoothie or whatever else you're drinking. It's not a problem, but I drink it, and I find that is amazing for getting me to go to the bathroom more as far as to wee. And that's because the comp that I have, the gene mutation called COMP, C-O-M-P, no, C-O-M-T, means that I retain fluid. And that's when you get puffy, puffy. And for me, it's puffy around my tummy and around my belly button. And when I have salt, I don't. So the answers can be quite simple, but it's different for you than it is for me. What I want to do is help you to understand that some of these things that we do as hairdressers and beauty therapists are not really helping us, and we've got to look after ourselves more than we do. So too hard, we've all been there. That's not nice. And people say that some people go every day, some people go once a week. I tend to believe that to be not true. I think that if you think about what you eat and the quality of what you eat, you'll just go every day. And I know when I eat well, which I do every day, I just go every day. It's no big deal. What trips me up is the mental challenges can put me in the squishy section. And it's a worry. It's an anxiety that does that. So it's about being concerned about the future, right? And that can give me a runny go, right? Being anxious about things. So it's not just what we eat, it's also emotionally. So we believe, or doctors believe, there's a vague between your brain and your gut called the vagus nerve. And so it's like a highway of information. So our brain is guided by what's in our gut. So when our gut health is really well, then our brain functions better. So a doctor explained it to me. He said, it's like there's all these little things around in your tummy, right? There's little tiny, tiny, tiny thousands and thousands in the lining of your tummy. So your tummy isn't just a smooth bowl like that. It's got these little things. And when you have been eating, like me, lots of pretend sugar and things like that, because I did that when I was wanting to get fit at the gym, it's like a rock concert has been on your lawn, right? And they've been stampeded. So now they're all broken and bent. And so your microbiome is when they're well and healthy again. So they all have feelings, and they process things, and they go to the brain. Here's a message, here's a message. So when you don't have those and they're all busted and like a rock concert on your lawn, you just think, look at the lawn and think, the lawn's clogged. What are we going to do? Well, what we do when a lawn is like that, and you would have seen it from time to time, is you just put a fence up and just a string and say, don't go on the lawn. And so sometimes the simplest way to heal your gut is just to clean it out by only eating whole food and stop eating the things that are just ruining your lawn. And I feel that's what I did. So cleaning out the pantry, leaving salt, vinegar, oil, and just things like cinnamon or what would be cumin powder and garam masala, and just really pure herbs, paprika, things like that. I was off and running. So I just needed to clear the rock concert off my lawn and get better. And then that's it. I didn't understand that all of those things were making me like go up and down on this chart. So that might be a little bit of an overshare, but amazing, right? And then during COVID, I did number 7 for about weeks and weeks and weeks. And that took me to a specialist about my gut health. And she said, I think, would you be open to exploring that perhaps it isn't the food, perhaps it is your psychological concern and worry? And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And because she asked me when was it the best? And I said, it's the best when I eat vegan. And she said, okay, so when do you eat like a vegan? I said, in Bali, because it's really easy to, because it's very affordable here to eat. And there's lots of really healthy food that isn't chemically sprayed and stuff. And she said, could it be that you are away from all the things that are stressful for you. And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting? And she was right. She absolutely was right. So I thought it was me not eating meat and not eating dairy and things like that, but it wasn't. It was mentally feeling like I'm on holidays. So it's definitely a food thing, but it's also a mental thing. So hopefully that's helpful to you. So I want you to take away, what is the little thing that you can do? Like, what's your tomorrow? When the sun gets up tomorrow, what do you think you might do? And I think it's really important to understand that this is your engine. You are the vehicle, and what you put into your body, whether it's watching things on television, that's putting things into your body too, it's putting things into your brain, whether you spend time with people that are just not good for you. You know, so we've all got someone in our life, a bit like one of my brothers, that just doesn't have anything nice to say. And it's just, you know, he might say something and I just walk away thinking, oh, and now I'm going to think about that for 14 days, and he's not going to think about it at all. So that's another example of things that you put into your brain. And then, of course, there's food that you put into your body, and they're all connected. And I feel so passionate about the hairdresser and the beauty therapist, because I know how much you care and you look after your clients. But my job's to look after to you. So if it means that I go, come here and give me a hug, I'll help you. But I think the first thing is just to be honest with yourself and what you can do. And those reasonable adjustments are going to take you to a better place. And you will fall down a few steps, and you'll climb a few steps, and then you'll fall down. But, you know, if you think about the things that trip you up, when have you been more bloated and uncomfortable and don't want to go, or really negative about the world? If you look back, you'll probably find you've either been in the company of wrong people, you've been eating the wrong food, and you're just taking in stuff to your body that isn't helpful. And I don't want that for you, right? I don't want that for you, because when you're in a good place, you can look after people, and that's our joy. We just love looking after people. I know I do. And that's why I do Salon Mentor, which is healthy, wealthy, and kind. For many, many years, it was time, team, and money. But I think, what's the good of having time, team, and money if you're not healthy, if you're not, you know, feeling good about yourself? I've yet to find a person who can sustain that hustle type environment. I want it to be easy for you. So I think you need to lower your expectations of what's possible and what changes you can manage, and just take the smaller steps. You know, just take the smaller steps as you are. And maybe you just think, okay, all right, I'm going to stop drinking Coca-Cola and orange juice. That's it. Just do that for a week. And then when that becomes normal, add something else. And I think we tend to not want to do that because it's not as old and brassy, and we go gang-ho and then fail, right? So you might think, okay, all right, take the smaller steps I'm going to, or you might think, no, I'm done. I'm done with this bloating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the things out of the cupboard that aren't good for me, and you just put them in a box in the bedroom behind the door. And you can go and get them if you want to, but just that would be a bit bigger step for me. And think about that, right? Or if you love chocolate, see if you can't find a better quality dark chocolate rather than eating Cadbury chocolate. And when you eat the Cadbury chocolate, don't eat the whole bar, you know? So just lots of little things will get you there. So thank you for listening. It's really a passion project for me. And, you know, this is a picture of me in the gym before I cut my hair and decided to grow out my colour. I don't want to put colour on my skin anymore. I'm happy to have foils. This is, I had foils because I'm trying to grow out my grey. And when I cut it back, I thought, oh, I don't have enough hair. Like I've got this much grey. I don't know what I thought she was going to do, like a miracle with this much grey. So I still have a long way to go. And I thought, well, you know what? The blonde's going to keep me happy. But I just feel so excited, and that I'm just warming up. I'm just warming up. And so I have often thought, oh, how much time have I wasted trying to work this out? Because I think I was about 53. My mother died of a stroke, which everyone goes, oh, well, she's 93. And I think, no, she still fucking died of a stroke. Like, she was well, she had a stroke, and basically it was such a severe stroke that we just had to wait 2 weeks for her to die. It was tragic. and I don't want that for me, you know. My dad was nearly 80 and he had a heart attack because blood flow, and both of those things are blood flow. And he ate more cows and that I would have ever imagined. No, not cows, lamb. He loved lamb. So he just lived on lamb, and vegetables were something he felt he should do because mum thought he should. But if it was up to him, he would have just eaten meat. And, you know, statistics show that that's not good for your heart. And mum ate sugar. She slept with Cadbury chocolate under a pillow. And when you went to say something to her, she laughed, little shit. And I think what was probably good for them is they probably had the first 50 of the years of their lives not doing, or mum certainly didn't have sugar, and they had a lot of whole food, you know, very Australian diet where you just boil vegetables and cooked meat. There was no, what would be the word? No packets and sauces and things like that. So they did eat whole food most of their life. And then as food became more available, when I think about me growing up, the cupboard wasn't full of lollies. We just didn't do that. But now they are. My sister has a whole drawer full of lollies, you know. So it's fascinating that food has become very inexpensive, and it's really common now for us to eat things out of a packet, whereas in my parents' day it wasn't. So I think we are up against some big challenges now. I often look at when I'm having my nails done, which I don't do anymore. I've decided to give that a rest as well. So to me, I had to take some big steps because cognitive I felt really unsafe. And I look at what some of the nail girls are eating, and they've got all these packets and stuff. And I think, wowza. Because they put it on the last table and you just think, wow, look at that rubbish. It's not even food. So just be mindful that we are all heading in one direction or another. Just be very careful that you are heading in the right direction, and only you can make that decision for you. So I'm here if you'd like to know more, or you think, oh, what was the name of that app or anything, just reach out to me because I love helping you. This is my joy. This is my passion project. So thank you for listening.